The story on the screen with me felt inorganic as I read it, especially in light of recent happenings with Mark Zuckerberg, including his appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast and Dana White, friend of Donald Trump, joining the Meta board of directors. But let's go through this article, and I'm going to highlight a few points where I felt like something was off, starting with the title. So just look at the way the title is worded. Mark Zuckerberg ended Facebook censorship after his own post got demoted. Well, that portrays Mark Zuckerberg as if he was a victim of the circumstance of Facebook and not the CEO. So it almost pits Mark Zuckerberg against Facebook censorship when he has been the CEO of Facebook this entire time. So we already see a tilting of the portrayal of this story. So scrolling down, we have a picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and it says Mark Zuckerberg scrapped Meta's censorship policies after his own Facebook post in 2023 got demoted by algorithms that were designed to curb misinformation. So again, it makes it sound like this is happening to Mark Zuckerberg and as if this isn't something completely within his control. So it goes on to talk about this injury that he suffered because of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he made a post. And it seems somewhat like it would be something that would happen that would be negative, that it would be somewhat embarrassing because Mark Zuckerberg had this post and he didn't get this engagement. And that's part of the beauty of what is a potential placement article, an article that is quite strategic. So let's scroll down. We've got another picture of Mark Zuckerberg saying that it's a screenshot from, I don't know if it's Instagram, but he announced changes to content moderation policies. And this article seems like a very convenient way of ushering in this change and then also just changing the storytelling, right? Because this is something that it didn't just happen to you, it happened to Mark Zuckerberg. And that's when he started to really realize that things were going wrong. And this is just a report, right? And this story is labeled as a report. Yeah, it's labeled as, in the end of the very title, we have : report. So going back down here, it says, to Zuckerberg's dismay, the post drew anemic attention. He investigated and learned that Facebook software engineers had tweaked the algorithm to limit the spread of health-related content due to fears that it includes false information, according to the Wall Street Journal. All right, so here again, it's making it seem like this is all happening to Mark Zuckerberg and outside of his control, and it's just something that he found out about, which again is awfully convenient when you consider who he's aligning with, his appearance on Joe Rogan, the fact that now he has a direct connection to Donald Trump, as if, I mean, he possibly could have already, but the point is that he is now making himself in a way seem like the Facebook moderation and the policies the moderation of the policies are happening to him rather than he has been in control this entire time. And then here, this next paragraph, it reads, a peeved Zuckerberg demanded a probe that snowballed into a full-scale review. So it wasn't even, I thought a probe would be a full-scale review of the company's algorithmic demotions to determine whether it was a case of overreach. Well, I mean, where have you been the last however many years? This has been happening for quite some time, and you have been overseeing this entire operation as the chief executive officer. And then we get to the post comment from Meta, and then a Meta spokesman told the Journal that Zuckerberg's shift towards free speech was based on his long-held beliefs. Where were those beliefs previously? And downplayed Zuckerberg's gripe about his own post. So again, it reads like we have this, everything is set up nicely, but it doesn't read like an organic story, because when you think about this, a CEO is never going to be completely surprised by a change that people have been complaining about for years, especially in the COVID era and complaining about censorship. So yeah, I mean, he's ending this now, but I just, when you read this story, it just it doesn't seem like it's a naturally flowing story. It seems like a story that is very convenient and and placed in such a way that it just carries forward this momentum where we have this mildly, let's call it mildly embarrassing, somewhat of an admission through by way of a report that Zuckerberg was perturbed about something that happened to him that many people can also identify with because they had their posts taken down or suppressed to the point where it's, let's say it's, let's call it a shadow ban for lack of a better term. But now it's also happening to Mark Zuckerberg by way of this story, which has come in really, really quickly. And so now we know that, okay, well, it happened to Mark Zuckerberg too. He wasn't really behind all of this. Wasn't really something that was his intention. So it's like Mark Zuckerberg is back on the good side. And then we have a quote from Mark Zuckerberg. We're going back to our roots and focusing on reducing mistakes, simplifying our processes, and restoring free expression on our platforms. The move was met with consternation and criticism. So, yeah, I read this story and it seemed off to me, and I think it's something where it is one of those. It's one of those situations where, of course, we know that now that stories are planted in the media. There are connections with media, and so that helps with companies with different objectives that they have. And my suspicion that this is the case with this article. This article just feels inorganic to me for all the reasons I've outlined.